Because to me, I trust Malaysians. Malaysians can work very fast. You know, if you give structure, the committee, SC, Sharia can work fast. So I came back to my SC, said, if you want to do wakala structure, how fast can you approve? So you know, we can do fairly fast. All these structures our scholars are very familiar about it. So we managed to get approval from SC for wakala, and then we do the same thing for Singapore. Alhamdulillah, Singapore also very, I must say, very cooperative. Within 2 weeks, they managed to get approval for the structure, and then together with the tax neutrality as well from Ministry of Finance. So we overcome the hurdle, and then we get clearance from Bernegara. So nothing else outstanding basically. So and then in 2010, just in time for the settlement of the bid, we managed to raise. But perhaps I can share you our roadshow in Singapore. We went before the deal. We went for roadshow. Of course, as I said, doing 5 and 10 years Sukuk, nobody has done it before, and to raise 1.5 billion, that size is big by any standards. But as I said, because we have prior knowledge of dealing with some funds, some insurance companies, we managed to get them to come early in the book. And because of that momentum, investors from Hong Kong also came, because investors in Hong Kong also, they do Sing dollars as well. Some Malaysian investors were very supportive as well. Bernegara came in and a few others came in. Those have Sing dollar use. So we managed to close the book comfortably and very decent price as well. I think about for 5 years we managed to do about 2.6% or so in the brochure, and for 10 years 3% plus. This is very good. Alhamdulillah, we closed, and then we came back and time to do new things, and then we settled the bid. And then for those who follow the story on the healthcare side, that asset we bought then now is one of the IHH healthcare assets that we listed last year in July. IHH now is second largest healthcare provider in the world after a group in US. IHH has hospitals in Malaysia, Gleneagles and Pantai, in Singapore, Parkway and Mount E, in India, Apollo hospitals, in Turkey, Acıbadem hospitals, and the team is working on some hospitals in China now. Hopefully the growth story on IHH will continue. Then, that's 2010, and then 2011, we were invited to go to Jakarta by MIFC in July 2011. This, as you know, MIFC would do roadshow to various cities each year. They go to Istanbul, they go to Jakarta, they go to Shanghai, they go to Hong Kong, they go to London to do the roadshow of Islamic finance. So a team from Khazanah, myself, my boss and a few others, we were in Jakarta to join the MIFC event. Over lunch, just some anecdote to share. Over lunch, because in Jakarta, Uncle would vouch for this. Jakarta wants to do Islamic finance long time ago. They have been wanting to do, promoting it. However, they couldn't get the act together. I'm sorry if any nations in here, they couldn't get the act together. For Islamic finance to grow, you have to get the framework ready, legal framework, accounting framework, tax framework to be ready. Otherwise, you cannot move. And somehow over there they're stuck. They wanted to do, the framework is not ready for them. So I noticed that discussions each year is the same. So over lunch, we skipped the session for the day. We adjourned for lunch, and then over lunch I was talking, perhaps we need to think of helping MIFC, perhaps think of another currency. So my boss turned around to me and said, so what do you have in mind, Izani, now that we have done Sing dollars? What else? I said, if we can do renminbi, the Chinese yuan, that would be good. Why? Because we have business in China. Khazanah, we have an office in Beijing, and we continuously looking for opportunities in China. Apart from Pakistan deal, we have we have a few other investments in China, the likes of renewable energy. We have some projects over there. So I said, if we can do renminbi Sukuk, that would be interesting, because nobody has done it before. So he said, if you can do, and if there is a requirement for the money, and why not? So I went back to the hotel and I called my office in Beijing. The person in charge is Ben Chan. I called Ben. Do you think you need renminbi? He said, oh, yes, I can make use of money for investments. So okay. So that's a requirement. So then it's a matter of structuring something. So when we were back in KL, we said let's do renminbi. So we were thinking of concluding the arrangement. We called the bankers to do applications to the authorities and whatnot. And then we said, okay, let's do it. However, we have to do roadshow, because nobody has done it before, and typically renminbi, the place where people hold offshore renminbi is in Hong Kong, because they separate out the offshore and onshore renminbi. So we went to Hong Kong for roadshow. It wasn't easy, because Hong Kong investors they can't even pronounce Sukuk. they haven't heard of Sukuk before. So Sukuk. So we said, okay, this is trust certificate. So we have to explain to them. It was a lengthy meeting. So eventually we told them, if you need any clarification, we are ready to address it. So then we felt that it's not enough for Hong Kong, so we had to go back to Singapore. We went to Singapore. Fortunately, Singapore investors also, they may keep some renminbi as well in Singapore. So we went to Singapore because they understood Sing dollar structure, Wakala, and we're keeping Wakala structure, so it's easier for them to accept. And then, now it's time to decide to launch or not. So we said we cannot do too big a size, because we can't afford to fail, because this is inaugural. So we have to get good example. So we set 300 million size, smallish by our standards. 300 million renminbi is about 150 million ringgit only, small. However, for renminbi, offshore renminbi, it's already a benchmark, between 300 to 500. So we launch 300 million. Surprisingly, the demand is good. We keep getting the demand. It's beyond 500. And then we discussed it. In that case, why not we upsize to 500? So we closed the book at 500. We closed, and I would say very decent yield as well, below 2.9%. It's cheap money for us. So alhamdulillah, it went well. So another nice story to share. And then, as I said earlier on, we like to think that we create pathways to others. So in follow on from there, later in the following year, I think, in 2012, you may have heard that Axiata did renminbi Sukuk, bigger size, 1 billion. And good story for them. And then I'm sure they have benefited from us, because now that investors are familiar, they have heard the word Sukuk before, so they're familiar. So they managed to do 1 billion. So we are glad that we have done so that people can benefit out of that. Then we were done with that, and last year in 2012 is the year where our previous Pakistan came to maturity. Okay, we wanted to make sure that, if possible, all Sukuk are exchanged for shares. However, the Pakistan shares didn't do very well. The stock market somehow, the particular stock didn't perform as the way we expected. So investors couldn't exchange for shares. So in the end, we paid our profit payment, so-called coupon. So the shares came back to us. So with the shares coming back to us, why not do another one using the same underlying? Hence, we issued another one. That's why we call PAMI 2. PAMI is the first project, and PAMI 2 in 2012. However, one significant achievement for this one is that it's the first time for Sukuk to achieve negative yield. What it means is that people are willing to give you money. If the Sukuk is not exchanged, they're willing to receive less than the money that they've given us. So that means they have trust in the stock. So Alhamdulillah, no one has ever done negative yield before, and then we pioneered it, Alhamdulillah, and hopefully in future more and more, out there with negative yield. So that's the last one that we did in March last year. I can share with you now. We are working on something else, but I cannot tell too much about it. Hopefully, you will hear a nice story. We are working on something, hopefully another landmark. If we can do sometime this year, would be nice. Shall I stop there? And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Izani. I think all of you would agree that he is a very good storyteller. I can see that people are still awake despite the time which is normally difficult to stay awake. And Alhamdulillah, the storytelling actually, we can feel the excitement and also the ups and downs in the experience of Khazanah in trying to come out with the groundbreaking landmark deals, which, like you say, is actually setting the path for others to follow, inshallah. Okay, so I would like to open for question and answers from the floor. So if there are anything that you want to say, to comment, or even to ask, please feel free to do so. Yes, Daniel.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Dear CEO of Khazanah National and Prof and all, I would like to ask, it's very interesting, it's very exciting to read 700 million USD, 1.2 billion ringgit Sukuk.